Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday. It's October 8th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And a quick look at our daily chart as usual. You can see we had another big bullish upward day, another new all-time contract high, closed at an all-time new high. It looks like we're going to push further upward now. There's still plenty of room to the upper side of the uh, envelope band, and still plenty of room to the upper side of the channel. So there's plenty of room to go higher here at this point. So I would suspect that we're going higher here. Um, this market wants to go higher, and it seems to continue to go higher. You can see we haven't had this is probably the biggest correction we've had in a while, all the way up here. You can see this thing all the way up, and that's probably the biggest correction we had. Maybe this one was a little bigger, but the few corrections we have, uh, they stall out around the midline and continue higher. So we hadn't been back to this trend line in quite a while. We hadn't even confirmed this trend line. I would say this channel is probably accurate because you can see it playing off the midline all the way up. And it looks very accurate. So you can see every time we've come back to that midline. And then this would be the 21 EMA as well. You can see we're playing off that. We went through it. We pushed through it a little bit here, but since then we've not even been able to close near it since all the way back in beginning of September. Uh, so this thing continues to be very bullish. So and you'll see when we flip over to the 2,000 tick chart, very bullish day. But let's flip over there and we'll go through the trades. Okay, here's today's chart. We did have the FOMC meeting meeting minutes that came out at 1, but I don't worry too much about those minutes. They usually, it looks like we did sell off momentarily, but we ended up pushing higher. It was time. We'd come off the high, so it was time to come back to the trend line. We didn't even make it back. That's how strong the market was. So I don't usually pay too much mind to those. Now, if it's FOMC rate announcement, definitely be flat an hour prior to that. But these meeting minutes, be aware of them in case something does happen. But generally, I don't halt my trading prior to that like I would most high volatility news items. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, very bullish day. Totally different trading day than yesterday. And that brings up a point. I'm going to talk about that real quick before we go to our chart lesson. I talked about this in a post on the forum this morning. But as a trader, as you get good at reading the chart, you can actually, your goal should be to kind of get in a flow with the price action and feel the flow and to try to go with it. Today that was very possible and today felt so much easier than yesterday. I talked about yesterday was just kind of a weird trading day, and there was no real flow to the price action. So as a trader, it's hard to get into that flow with the price action. That's something you want to try to do. I don't really know how to explain that, but you probably know what I'm saying when I say this, but sometimes you have those trading days where everything just feels effortless and it's just so easy and you think, I got this. Trading is the most easy thing on earth, and it's because you just have that feel and you're in the flow with it, and every move that you think you're reading, it works out perfectly. And you have days like that. When you have days like that, by all means capitalize on them. But some days you just have those trading days where nothing feels right. You can't really get in the flow with the price action. Every trade you think you're going to take, you either take it and it fails, or you talk yourself out of it. You just can't really seem to get the feel for the market. And I guess the point I'm trying to make here is, if you have one of those days, just what I usually recommend first is just get up and walk away, go outside, go walk around the block, just go take a coffee break for 15 minutes, go play with your dog, go visit your kids if they're, Just go take a coffee break, go call your neighbor, go call your significant other, chat with them, do something to get your mind off trading for a minute, something positive, get your mind off trading, wait 15 or 20 minutes and then go back and sit down. And a lot of times that will, unless it's the price action itself, if it's you having that can't seem to get in the flow with it, you'll get that feeling back, and you'll be able to recover from whatever the start was that had you all out of sorts or whatever. But if you come back and you still can't get in the flow with it, generally I recommend is just closing up shop, calling it a day. At the very least, make sure you're not trading live. Go to the sim and sim trade and get some free practice that doesn't cost you any money, and see if you can try to get it back that way. But those days will happen. As you get better and better at this, they're fewer and far between, but you're still going to have those days. So much of what we do as traders is mental. So you're going to have those days where you're just not mentally there. And it could be, maybe something negative happened in your life. You had a fight with your spouse or your significant other or whatever. Maybe your kids did something that disappointed you. Maybe you're just having a bad day, whatever. Life happens, and you know what I'm talking about when I say those kind of things. There's going to be days that you just are not mentally prepared, and it will affect and show up in your trading. So just be aware of that. It just seems to be on my mind today, so maybe it'll be pertinent to somebody. I do this a lot. I just get this feeling about something I want to talk about, and I'll talk about it in the video, and it never fails. Somebody will send me an email and says, hey, that was meant for me. I felt like you were talking directly to me. I needed that. And for whatever reason, I just, that's been on my mind today from that, ever since I made that post, is that I needed to mention that in the video. So if it resonates with you, it's very real. So again, just get up and take that break, 15 or 20 minutes. And when I say take a break, really get your mind completely off of trading. Don't take a break and go sit down and hash it out. Just completely get away from trading. Get your mind completely off of it. Clear your brain. Come back and sit down and start fresh all over again. And a lot of times it can make a big difference. Sometimes it won't. It might just be the price action that day, and it might not even be you. So if you taking a break may or may not help, but a lot of times it will. So just keep that in mind. But let's get to the chart lesson. You can see it's all uphill. It accelerated around just before 9 o'clock. We did have a period here from about 11 o'clock to maybe 2 o'clock that we were just kind of sideways. But it's because we were working off the upper side. And when you see that where you're turning down off the upper side of a bullish channel, and you can't even get back to the trend line, that means the market's still really strong. So when we reversed here, that was a good indication that, hey, we can't even get back to this trend line, so this is probably going to go higher still yet. And you can see we closed almost on the highs, very close. So just keep that in mind when you come off the upper side of the trend channel. The expectation is we're going back to the trend line. And when you work sideways to get back to it or can't even get back to it, that's a strong signal that this market's strong. So keep that in mind. We started off very choppy and sideways, but this thing accelerated as the day went along, and it turned out to be a pretty good trading day. It was a pretty good trading morning, actually. But anyway, 7 o'clock came just as we're kind of coming down here and bouncing. And notice you had a trend up and then a trend down, close outside. You're getting two legs back down here. That's a lower high. It's also, notice the new low, first entry, second entry, and it just comes right back to this trend line. This one is tempting as well. You actually might have considered going long there. We're definitely in a trading range. I didn't mark that one, but that one should at least be green. You probably want to wait on the higher low, which doesn't come to way up here. Actually, you get a higher low here, but you can't trade that one. The signal bar is no good. So, and this, there's no reason you can't take this with this many tests. That's a quadruple test. And it makes a lower high here. So for that reason, I'm going to mark it green, but it's still a higher low than this low. But you see there's already 2 legs up, and now there's 2 legs down. So the odds are we're going to bounce there. So maybe you take that one. You're better off to wait on the higher low, and you just don't really get a setup there. And then, of course, it runs 2 legs up. Now, even though by the counts, this would be a first, second, third entry, I'm going to count this as a new low. This is just a double bottom. So first entry, second. It's clearly 2 legs up. So I'd treat that as a second entry. You actually get a close outside and a couple of swings to a new high, and it's really a lower. It's a double top, so it's really considered a lower high. And so I like going short there. And then we're working down, close outside, new low. Then you get a little 2-legged correction that just kind of works sideways. And so that's a second entry short. And it broke higher first and turned down. So you could enter that on the engulfing bar. Now remember, I say this a lot. It's also a triple test too. I don't have the line across there, but that's also a triple test. Now I say this a lot on the engulfing bars. Most of you should not trade them. Wait till the bar closes, because you really need to know what you're doing to trade an engulfing bar. And they can look very bearish and then end up closing way up here and being bullish, and you get trapped on the wrong side. So you really need to know what you're doing. And usually if you're going to take one, the bar next to it needs to be a trend bar that's completely opposite and very strong. And you can see that whole bar is almost green. So that's what you're looking for. You want it to break above and instantly turn and go right out the other side. And if you're reading it right, and prices should be going that way, it's usually going to work out in your favor. And you can see this one shoots straight down. So you really get a leg down. This one has 2 legs in it, and then a 2-legged correction. So that should be the middle of the pattern, and you should get another leg down like so. And you can see that we actually went much further than a measured leg, and we actually got one more push down with 2 legs in it. So notice that's a new swing high. It's higher than that one. And you would expect most breakouts to fail. You can't enter on this one, it's too congested. But here you get 2 legs down, and it bounces right off that trend line again. And this is a new high, so that's a first entry, second entry. And you can clearly see it looks like a couple of legs down. And so this is probably going to reverse back into the trend channel. You don't know that it's going to take off like that. It might, and that's one reason we like these failed breakouts, because they all, I shouldn't say always, but a lot of times these turn out to be important lows or highs of the day. And you can see this failed break lower turned out to be the low of the day from that point forward. And look what transpired afterwards. So catching this trade right here could get you a huge runner today. I mean, even if you only got this move, it's pretty good. But if you can get even this move, it's better. But you might be able to get all the way up to here. And, you know, this ranges anywhere from 7 or 8 points to 20 points or so, to 23, 24 points, to maybe 30 points, 30 something points. And I mean, even if you just got to this double top, I mean, you're looking at 30 plus points. And so you want to try to catch if you can catch one 30-point runner, which you're not going to catch a lot of those, but just say you catch one occasionally, that might erase every loser you have, plus make you some extra profit. And just think about, if you scalped, you know, if you've been scalping all this time and you got all these wins and you only have a few losers and you erase all of them, then everything you had was profit. So you can't, what I'm trying to tell you is you cannot underestimate the value of being able to catch a good runner occasion, because it will wipe out the few losses you have if you're good at doing this. And not only will it wipe out the losses, it might wipe them out plus give you positive. So just keep that in mind. This runs all the way back up to the upper side. I don't see a close outside. Maybe, let me zoom in here a little bit. Maybe there's a close outside a new high. It does make a triple test there. I'm just not convinced with that being a first entry. That's a clear close outside and a new high. It's a triple test. I probably should at least mark it green. it's very tempting to take that trade. But I think you need to wait on the lower high there, and you just don't get one. It just runs back down, and you get a second entry long, and off it goes. And unfortunately, that's not a second entry long you could take. It's not a good enough signal bar for one thing, but it doesn't. You get the close outside, but no new low or anything. You would expect prices to probably come back to the support level. It doesn't do that either. So there's just no entry there, and off it goes. And unfortunately, there's no entry all the way up unless, now you've heard me talk about this before. Once you realize you're in a strong trend, it's a tight channel like that, you can just about trade any signal bar that comes back to the key entry point. So in that case, there's an entry right here. There's another one right here. And you probably wouldn't realize it here yet because this could be a failed breakout. So really it was about here. So those are the trades you could take. And then there's nothing else here you could really take. You might, I mean, even here coming back, you got two legs back. It's a hidden second entry, but there's no close and new low outside yet. So you can't take that one either. But if you took either one of those trades, I wouldn't have any problem with it because it's obvious by that time this is a tight, very strong trend working up. Then you get a correction. Almost all, and notice how there's a gap right there, right at the midline. That's telling you your midline's probably in the right place. Don't ask me why it does that, but prices will skip over support and resistance lines like that. So when you see it, it usually is a good indication your support resistance line is in the right place. And so that right there alone told me that, hey, this is probably channel. Originally, I had this a little lower. But I adjusted it some. So you probably would have had it a little lower, and you may have missed that because of that, because your trend channel might have been your midline might have been a little lower than that. But when you do see that, pay attention to it. It's telling you something. And then notice it pulls back right there and bounces right off. Even though we hadn't come back and confirmed this trend off this main trend line, you're getting enough information here to tell you this is a good trend channel. No chance to go long there, unfortunately. And it runs up, makes a new high, and you actually get a second entry short right there with a good signal bar. Again, you're better off to wait on the lower high. And I think this is too congested and too close to the EMA. So this would be, I'm going to mark that one green because you need to wait on a lower high if you can. Now here there's two legs back. If this would have had a good signal bar, I'd tell you, go short right there because it's a triple test. And even though this makes a little lower low, that's still two legs back. And you would expect prices to try to make a new low here and at least come back to the midline or whatever. So there's a close setup there, but it doesn't quite set up like it should. Now you got your close outside and you come down and it tries to go lower 3 times and you get this nice bullish bar. So that's a triple test, and really it comes back across here where there's some more support as well. So I like going long on that bar. There's a higher low here, but it's moved a little too far. Again, that bar is like 5 ticks. So it's really tempting. There's actually a second entry long right here, but the signal bar is no good. And it's too close to the highs there, I think. So, I mean, it's looking a little congested across there. So I don't think you can enter that one. Same thing here. It's just too congested. But we do get a close outside and we move to a new high. And this is tempting. That's a lower high. And it's not really congestion. You don't have the no-bodied bar right there. I think what's happening is you're just kind of hitting equilibrium momentarily there while it reverses. The key would be how much room do you have back to the EMA? And you can see you got over 2 points right there. So if you entered there, I wouldn't have a problem with it. The problem is we're in a big, strong uptrend, and it's dangerous going short. But if you're drawing these micro channels and you're that far away from the EMA and it's time for a reversal, maybe you enter there. I'll give you a green on that. I'd probably wait, but anyway, you get a close outside here, but you get 2 legs up, and it looks like 2 measured legs really, which is what you like to see. And you can see that exactly 2 measured legs, and then it sells off. There's another second entry right here, but it's real convoluted. It's a little sideways. But it runs up and it turns down, ends up your trend channels right here. There's a lower high here, but that's too much stem. It's too big a bar. It's too close to the EMA, and you can see it does push up again. No setup there to go short. Again, you got another one of those two legs. It looks kind of like this one over here. But this is your signal bar, and that's just not good enough. It runs down. That is a second entry long, but again, that looks too congested. Runs up, high or low, but no set up. And here's where we're just kind of working sideways. We've come off that upper line a couple of times, and so we're working back towards the trend line. And this is telling you, hey, we're not turning down. We're just working sideways. But again, this is not a clear, easy to see range where all the highs are equal and all the lows are equal. So you got to try to play what it gives you here. And of course, you get this trend up, close outside, a couple legs to a new high. There is a lower high here, but again, there's just too much congestion. There's too much room for interpretation that you could be wrong right there. And so anytime you're unsure of what prices are doing, and it's hard to know what prices are they trying to go higher, or are they trying to go lower? They end up breaking out the low side, which leads me to believe they're really trying to push it higher. And so you do get a second entry right there, and you do get a close outside the new high. That's another one. You could argue for it. We'll give it a green. You see it runs up and it fails out the upper side and comes back down again. And then again, you get a first entry and then a second entry. And if you draw this trend channel, you'll see you get a close. You get a close outside and a new low all in one bar, really. You really get a close outside here, but for definitely here, and it bounces right off the midline. I like going long there on that second entry, and then you get a higher low that further confirms it. I think a lot of your smarter traders are probably questioning, hey, this thing could trap me here. We're due to go to the lower side, so maybe we'll wait, and then when they see the next higher bar, then they all jump in again. At least they run it at least back up to the original high, and you end up getting a triple test right there and a big bearish bar. So I like going short on that one. And your hope is that maybe you catch this thing when it turns down and heads all the way back to the other trend line. It doesn't end up doing that, but you still get a pretty nice move here. It looks like you get a close outside and a move down here, but it just keeps heading lower. It's possible that that's not a convincing close outside. It's possible my trend channel is slightly off there too. I think it's probably more like that. Maybe it's a little lower than that. That probably looks real close. But anyway, runs down. You definitely get a close outside here and a couple of swings to a new low. And I would call that a double top. So this is a triple test, but you could also argue that maybe there's a second entry long there. If it wasn't a triple test, I wouldn't even mark this green because we still got room to go lower here, and that's not a big two legs down. It just barely makes a new low. But you can see the first leg makes a new low, and then it makes one more. And that's just because the market's probably strong here, but you need to be sure. So here I think you should wait on a higher low. But if you want to be a little aggressive, that's where you'd take it. But I think you should wait on the higher low, which you just never get. There's actually another second entry here. Notice the new high, first entry, and then it makes a lower high that breaks above. That's a second entry long. Problem is that's just an inside bar. It's bullish enough, but it just looks too congested. It could easily break higher and give you a triple test up here and turn back down again. So I think you have to sit tight on that one. And that takes us all the way into the 2:30 hour. So really strong move today up, as I said previously. Nice trading day. It was much easier to kind of get in the flow of things. Study this channel here so you can see how we bounced off the upper side a couple of times, but we didn't just immediately turn and go lower. We just kind of worked sideways, and that's telling you the market's probably still There's still a lot of buying coming in. They can't sell it off to even bring it back to the trend line. On a a healthy trend, a lot of times it's going to come back to the trend line and then it starts back up. But here they can't even get it back to the trend line. So that's telling you there's still a lot of buying coming in, a lot of bullishness. So yeah, nice trading day. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for today. So I spent a little bit of time talking about the mental aspect. So we're almost 30 minutes here. So I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.